Today we're going to have a look at the basics of Excel. I find Excel excellent for doing quick prototyping, doing a quick spreadsheet, looking at some quick financial numbers. It's great for anything you need to do really fast. It doesn't scale as well as some other solutions, but today I'm going to introduce you to Excel. I'm going to assume that you haven't had any knowledge of it, and I'll just go through the very basics. So let's get started in Excel with a quick example. Alright, we click in a cell and that cell then becomes the active cell. You can see I've clicked in A1 now, and the A and the 1 is highlighted and there's a black border around it. If I click in another cell, you can see that we've made that cell the active cell. So we'll click back in A1 and I'll just enter day and I'll tab across to the next cell and we'll say adjusted close price and hit enter. Already you can see that we've got a problem. This text here is going across two cells. To fix that, we can just move our mouse up to the border of cell B and C and double click, and the cell will automatically adjust to fit the size of the largest element, which is quite handy. So we'll look at days of the week in column A, and in column B we'll put the prices down. We're just going to enter some random data just so we can go over it. So Monday first, Tuesday. Excel has a great feature where we can select two cells like this, click down here and drag down, and it will predict what the next cells are going to be based on the first two. So we'll go down to Friday because we're only concerned with trading days, and you can see there Wednesday is partway across the second column. So we go back up and double click and it's automatically sized for us. Now we're going to enter some random prices. So $12, whoa, I didn't have numlock activated, so we've gone down to the bottom of our document. We'll click back up here on Monday again. So $12.56 for our Monday's adjusted closing price, $11.84, and $8.56, $9, so $9.00, and $8.90. Now we want to change the format of this column here to price, because these are all 2 decimal place prices. So we come up to our formatting options up here. We could just click on the $sign there, which is accounting number format, but I'll just click here so we can see the other format options. We've got number, currency, accounting, short date, time, percentage, fraction. The list goes on. We can also create our own formatting options or data types. So we'll just go currency there, and you can see we've got our $sign added and we have our 2 decimal places. If we want to align our text, we can go to the alignment compartment on the ribbon and click center. We can align it to the right or the left. We'll just keep it in the center for now. We've changed it to a currency format and we've aligned it in the center. As you can see, I've selected those 5 prices, and down the bottom you can see that we've got a quick average is $10.17, the count is 5, and the sum is $50.86. This is quite a handy feature when you're using Excel. You can select some cells and it will quickly tell you the average, the count, and the sum just down here. Alright, so we've got that done now. As we looked at before, if we highlight our cells, we get a quick count, average, and sum for the cells. But what we want to do is do this ourselves. So we'll click in cell A8 and we'll call it average closing price, which is the weekly average closing price. and we're going to enter a formula. The easiest way to enter a formula is to simply hit the equals and then start typing in our formula. For this formula, we're going to add this cell, this cell, this cell, and this cell with this cell. So we're going to add the 5 cells, and then we're going to divide it by how many there are. So to add a cell, we just click on it, and then click the plus, click on our next cell, plus, next cell, plus, and our final cell, and we hit return or enter. And there we have our $50.86, which was exactly the same as our sum down here. We've got a count of 5. We can visually see that there's 5 entries for 5 days of the week, and it's telling us our average is $10.17. There's a quicker way to sum a column of numbers, and that's using the sum function. It's a built-in Excel function. So we can just type in sum, open parentheses, and then we click and drag from the first to the last number. Then we close the parentheses and enter, and that's 5086, that's right. Also, there's another way we can do it, which is using the auto sum button. So we'll delete this here and click on auto sum. Well, we'll select our data and click on auto sum, and you can see it's put it down there. We don't want it there, so we will cut it from there and paste there. But if we double click, we can see we've got our sum from the first cell to the last cell, and it's exactly the same as just typing in sum and dragging our range in here. Helps if we open the parentheses first, and there you go. So there's a number of different ways to do stuff in Excel, so you want to find the way that works best for you. And of course we've got to divide it by the count to get our simple average. So 1017, and our average of 1017. We'll do a little bit more work with this simple data that we've entered. Let's create a spark line that shows the weekly adjusted closing prices. So just type in weekly prices. And we'll click in this cell here, over to insert, and just a spark line. We select our data range and hit enter. Okay, and then we have our simple spark line here that's showing us weekly, well, it's showing daily, but it is a week, a summation of the week of our prices here, our adjusted close prices. If we wanted to do a chart of these, we can just simply select our data range, go over to insert, we'll choose just a simple line chart, and then we have our adjusted close price line chart, which is very similar to the spark line, except we've got our different axes, we've got our scale, we've got a lot of things that we can change through the chart layout settings. As you can see, when we inserted this chart here, our ribbon changed, and that brought up our chart tools. So the ribbon will change contextually depending on what you're doing. So if we leave that chart there and go back to our home, we can see we're back at home. We can enter more data, we can click our chart, drag it around, and we've still got our chart tools up here. If we come back here, click on our chart again, back to the chart tools. So it's very powerful and easy to use, but sometimes it can be a bit confusing when you're first getting started. In a single spreadsheet, or workbook as it's called in Excel, we can have a number of sheets. At the moment we can see we're in sheet 1 and it's active just down the bottom here. If we click on sheet 2, we move to sheet 2, And this is now the active sheet, so we can do some more work here. By default, Excel opens up with 3 sheets. If we want to add another sheet, we can just click down here and insert worksheet. So now we've got another worksheet called sheet 4. If we look back at sheet 1, we can see that there's now these dotted lines. That's because I went up to File, Print. And you get a preview of how your page would look. Those dotted lines just show you where the pages are going to be, and that's basically the margins for the pages. So if we want to move this chart back into our active print area, click and drag like that, and now if we go back to File, Print, we can see we've got our chart selected. So when you select something, it will print that, or ask if you want to print that active area. So we'll just select the worksheet again and go back to File, Print, and as you can see, that's all on one page now. So if you want to see how your spreadsheet will look when printed, you just go to the File, Print, and it will then automatically bring up these little print borders for you. But you can change the page setup. If you want to print in landscape, you can come to File, Print. You've got your options for active sheets, entire workbook, etc., etc. Portrait orientation or landscape. So if we select our landscape orientation, okay, and we go back to our workbook, we can now move our chart up here like so. And then if we go back to File, Print, we can see, because we've got the chart selected again, it defaults to that. I don't know if I like that feature of Excel, but it's just something to be aware of, and I get caught out with it a lot, as you can see. So back to print, we can see we've got our adjusted close price, got our little spark line, and we can then print that data.